Automation. Automation really is your friend. It's a beautiful thing. Going back to this idea of using limited amount of instruments, you may only have a pair of guitars going through the whole song. You mute one in the verse, then it comes back in the chorus. Nice wide guitars. Another thing you can do is turn it down. Simple as that. Automation can be your friend. Sometimes instead of like overly compressing every single element, just use automation to get that word to pop over. Sometimes, in a really dense mix, we put a lot of compression on everything to make it all fight for the same place. But again, think about how we're removing so much low end and so much high end to make everything fit together. We use a limited amount of tracks and we just use volume automation and pan automation to get it out of the way of other things. Suddenly, you're preserving the integrity of your recording. And everything can get bigger and fatter and just feel so much more satisfying. Another thing about automation, and I think Eric Valentine is the king of this. If you go back and listen to some of his really, really big mixes of like the late 90s, early 2000s, what he would do a lot of in those days is he would just ever so slightly skinny down a verse. Like he'd take like the guitars, maybe just high pass them a little bit higher, maybe about 200, 250, but with a gentle slope, just a gentle slope, about 250. Maybe take the bass and just bring it up to about 70 on a gentle high pass. Maybe on the kick drum, there was a little bit of subbiness, just bring the sub down really gently. So just the mix didn't really noticeably feel that different, but just had maybe just a slightly bit less low end on it, just a tiny bit. So he's automating the EQs. Chorus comes in, all of those high passing that he did all disappears. And suddenly this more satisfying few extra dB of low end just comes in and it's like, wow. He would do the same thing on the high end. He just skinny it down just a little bit. And I'm not talking about doing telephone effects. I'm not talking about the most obvious automated, like everything sounds like this and it's small and it suddenly goes smash. I'm talking about subtle amounts of automation on the high and low end. So you can just open up the high end. Just think about it. You've got like this tight drum groove, maybe some mid-range on that hi-hat, a little saturation on the hi-hat to make it a bit mid-rangey, automated on there. Maybe just automate some EQ on the overheads, just make it a little tinier, just a little bit on that verse. Nice and tight drum sound. Chorus comes in, all of that goes. Suddenly there's some 12K openness from the natural sound of the overheads comes out in the chorus, and it just starts to sound bigger and more beautiful. Automation is not just volume. Volume's very important. I definitely want you to spend time doing volume automation, but small amounts of EQ automation can be a wonderful thing. Plus, of course, pan automation keeps the interest going, having things move around. Taking instruments, making them more mono in the verse, stereo in the choruses. Automation is a huge part of mixing, and it really does sort out a semi-professional level from a really great professional mixer who really understands how to automate stuff and keep you interested from beginning to end of a song.